Welcome, everyone. Welcome. We are just getting started. We're going to go ahead and let everyone start coming into the room. For those who don't know me, my name is Janita Cardona, better known as Yaya. So we're going to give a couple more minutes so everyone can have enough time to log in before we start our event. Just a quick reminder for all of those who are logging in, make sure that you are on mute. At the end, at the presentation, we'll have a Q&A section where you'll be able to ask any questions. And at that time, you can go unmute to ask your questions. We also have a chat. You're more than welcome to enter any questions you may have at any time during the presentation in the chat, and we'll go over it at the end of the presentation. You don't need to be on camera if you don't want to. We understand how it is. I know many of you guys are eating your lunch. So we thank you for taking your time, for taking this hour to be here with us to learn about Blue Zones Jacksonville and what we'll be doing here in the next 5 years. So we're just gonna wait a couple more minutes. Also, as you guys can see, we have a chat going on. So we would love for everyone to be able to introduce themselves in the chat. Tell us your name, the business that you are representing today, and the zip code that you are repping today. All right, thank you, everyone. We're gonna start in about 2 minutes, I wanna say, right, team? In the meantime, just go ahead and start filling out the chat on the side. If you can put your name, your organization, and what zip code you're repping today. We would love to know what part of Jacksonville you guys are all in today. Hi, welcome. What a beautiful, diverse group of people we have here. People from the beach area, I love it. 32209, okay. 32259, yes, come through Jacksonville. We got Shawana Brooks, hello Shawana. Greetings. Do we have anybody from the west side? 32226, 32207, yes. I know 07. Okay, so it is 12:05. So we're going to go ahead and start off the event. Thank you guys all so much for coming in today and participating in our virtual lunch and learn about Jacksonville, Blue Zones Jacksonville project. My name is Janita Cardona. I am honored to be the event specialist here for Blue Zones Jacksonville. And I am going to go ahead and start this off and present our executive director, Nicole Ham, who's going to talk a little bit about what Blue Zones Jacksonville is.
Awesome. Hello, everybody. There's so many familiar names and faces on this call. And we are so excited to share space with you and hold space with you while we share a little bit about Blue Zones Project Jacksonville. So as Yanira mentioned, my name is Nicole Ham. I'm the Executive Director of Blue Zones Project Jacksonville. And as we're getting ready to queue up our presentation here, I'm going to go ahead and introduce the rest of this incredible team. We have Kristen Murray, who is Engagement and Marketing Lead. We have Brittany Camps, who is our Organization and Wellbeing Lead. We have Marlo Zarka, who is our Public Policy Lead. We have Rasheed Williams, who is our Schools Lead. We have Yanira Codona, who's our Event Specialist. Tiara Taggart, who is our Project Manager and Office Coordinator. Lawan Brunson, who is our Public Policy Coordinator. Carla Reddick, who is our Organization and Wellbeing Coordinator, and Brittany Nazario, who is our Engagement and Marketing Coordinator. And we have additional support from our Blue Zones national team, which you'll hear a little bit more about, including Debbie Watkins, Seth Levin, and Dawn Kalicheski. So we're really excited to hold space with you all and share more about Blue Zones and what we are up to here. And I will get started with our presentation, sharing our screen with the deck. Perfect. So what we're going to share a little bit about today in our agenda on the next slide is really about what Blue Zones Project Jacksonville is, what we're going to be doing in Jacksonville, and how that work will apply and how you can get involved. And of course, we'll have Q&A at the end where we would love for you to ask any questions off mic. But of course, as Yanira mentioned, you're more than welcome to drop anything that comes up for you in the chat as well. So Blue Zones Project was started by National Geographic explorer Dan Buettner. And we really have our calling to empower everyone everywhere to live better and longer. So we really want to create environment and systems and a culture where the healthy choice is the easy choice, and we can have healthy, purposeful, long-lasting lives. And in this case, when we talk about healthy and purposeful and long-lasting, we think of free of disease, being able to connect with others, and not just being able to live to 102, 103 and be in pain and feel isolated, but to really live into those elder years and feel very well and complete and whole. Health is not a one-dimensional system. And what Blue Zones Project really capitalizes is on creating a robust and holistic system to our health and well-being. So as mentioned, this was part of a discovery through our founder, Dan Buettner, with National Geographic. Dan Buettner loved to solve the mysteries of the world. And what better mystery than to solve of how can people live a really long time? There were rumors of people that were living in populations of the world up to 103, 104, where men were living longer than women into their hundreds, and in some places, women living longer than men. And so what Dan did is take a robust exploration over a decade and really figure out what are the secrets and the commonalities that are allowing these people to live better, longer, and to live into these longer years. So the original Blue Zones are 5 hotspots that you can see on the screen: Costa Rica, Greece, Loma Linda, California, Italy, and Okinawa, Japan. And at first glance, it really doesn't seem like there's anything in common with these communities. We have heard that, well, they're all coastal, which to an extent is true. But more than anything, they're very diverse in socioeconomics, diverse in geographics, diverse in ethnicities. And so it was really that there had to be more than just where you live that was allowing these communities to live long and live well. And so what we discovered, or what Dan discovered, is that there are common characteristics that are called the Power 9 that have contributed to these communities thriving and having those populations of people living up into their 100 years of age. So as you can see on the screen, there's these nine commonalities and characteristics, but we like to break them into what we call our core 4. So as you'll see, movement, having the right outlook, eating wisely and connecting are incredible tools that encompass Power 9 and what those look like. Moving naturally, being nudged into movement every 20 minutes. Think of your Apple Watch, how it tells you to stand or to go for a walk. These environments were allowing these people and pushing these people to do that naturally, whether that was to get to the store, whether that was to herd sheep, whether that was to go see their grandchild. They were nudged into that movement. Having the right outlook, every elder person in these communities knew what their purpose was the moment their feet touched the floor in the morning, whether that was to be their community leader, whether that was to see their grandchildren graduate college, whatever that was, they knew what their purpose was, and they lived through that through and through. They also took the opportunity to downshift, which was taking time to just take time, right? Some like to take a nap. The Greeks like to take a nap. There's some people that like to do happy hour. There's some people that I think, especially in our community, that we just need to take a moment and step away, even go for a walk, being nudged into that movement. So there was these opportunities throughout their periods of life that they took the opportunity to downshift and take it down a notch. Eating wisely, the 80% rule. I come from a military family where you can't eat anything else until your plate is completely clear. And so I think of quite a few of us have grown up that way as well. But what we have learned and from these other communities is that eating 80% of your plate and taking the time to actually evaluate your hunger really can make a difference. You're not just eating just to eat, but they were enjoying the experience and they were eating fulfilling foods that allowed them to feel fuller faster and therefore be able to take a little bit of time before moving forward with their next meal. Plant slant. We're not all vegetarians or vegans, but in these communities, there was predominantly plant-based meals. And this was because of their environment. A lot of these communities gardened, they had farmers markets, or they worked with local community members that were growing food. And a lot of that, which was cheaper to do and grow, were plants. So we're not saying no more meat, no more fish. We're just saying that what if we looked at making our plates more plant-based heavy and also maybe having that side of chicken or turkey or whatever your vice may be as far as your meat. Why not 5? This is a lot of people's personal favorite. We'll admit that it is mine. But why not 5 is more than just about having a glass of wine at the 5 o'clock hour. It's really about that social connectivity. I don't know about you, but there is nothing like calling Maya Brown up on the phone and saying, can we just go have a glass of wine and talk about our week? It is cathartic. It brings you back to your social roots, and it gives you an opportunity to just be with what is, whatever your week has looked like, whatever your day has looked like, because all that matters in that moment are the people that you're surrounding yourself with. And speaking of the people that we surround ourselves with, we really talk about this positive pack. I can use this team as an example that I introduced to you before. We really hold each other accountable to the positive behaviors and goals that we want to reinforce in our lives. And we all need that. There's one thing to say that I've got my girl group of people that are going to hold me accountable. It's another thing for them to actively check in. It's another thing for you to have that standard of this is what accountability and support looks like in our group. Having our loved ones first. A lot of these homes were multi-generational, which I think we're seeing, especially in this economy with housing, that we're getting a little bit back to. So it wasn't just about having our family members in the home. It was also about even your friends that you consider family, those loved ones first, making sure that they are a priority. Even on our team, we say you have to take care of your home and your family first before you are able to do anything else. We want to ensure that those that you love and you care about come first, because that is the way that you will feel whole and complete and care for what you have to do in your life. And of course, belonging. This doesn't necessarily have to be spiritual, but it has been shown in this, in Dan's discoveries, is that those that did attend a worship service of any kind, at least 4 times a month, did have commonalities of living better and longer. For all of us, this can look different. This can be Christian, non-denominational, Buddhist, Jewish, Muslim, anything in between, but having something and believing in something bigger than yourself truly does make a difference. So all of these characteristics, again, this holistic model, the Power 9, are really what we look to reverse engineer in our our own communities to ensure a culture and environment where health and well-being are a priority. So how does this work in our community? Great question. So we really look at this life radius model, which is 90% of Americans spending about 20 miles, doing everything in their work about 20 miles from where they live, work, and play. So what we aim to do is to really create impact within that life radius. So if you think about where you live, you probably have a neighborhood school within 20 miles of where you live. There may be a grocery store, a convenience store in that space as well. You might have neighbors or friends that you connect with on a regular basis within that group. And you have restaurants and faith-based communities and parks and bridges and roads, all of these things that exist in your neighborhood. In Jacksonville, we know that we are a very large community. So we really look at this almost like neighborhood by neighborhood. And especially because in Jacksonville, every neighborhood has a different identity. Brentwood is not going to be the same as Lakewood, and Sherwood is not going to be the same as Alice. So we really look at a neighborhood by neighborhood approach, which models the life radius to ensuring that we are creating impact in the places where people live, work, and play. So our project is community-driven and community-led and community-wide. And so when we say community-wide as a consolidated government, we know that our policy and our school district are one county, one system. So we really want to create impact in those systems. But we also are very strategic in ensuring that we do specific demonstration projects and creating impact in 5 zip codes. You'll see on the screen 32206, 32208, 32209, 32210, and 32244. We like to think of it as the east side, west side, and northwest side of Jacksonville, of really taking the opportunity to create the most impact. Now, we say this because we come from an asset-based approach. So we are not looking at these communities as a deficit. We are looking at these communities as opportunities to build on and enhance what already exists in these communities to create change. We have the most churches in 32208. We have the most parks and recreation throughout some of these areas, and they're going to be the first to get some of the remodel in our parks master plan. We've got schools being revitalized in these neighborhoods. So we're really coming at this from an asset-based approach to create impact, not because there's any deficit in these neighborhoods, but we know that there is historic underserved and historically not as well taken care of. But we also know that there's a lot of good being done in these communities, and there's a lot of partners and organizations dedicated to this work. So while we're focused on these zip codes, we also want to ensure that everybody, no matter where you decide to go in Jacksonville, have the opportunity to have the choice and the opportunity to have that environment, to have the healthy choice be the easy choice and well-being be top of mind. So our transformation period is really people powered, like I mentioned. This is community led and driven. We have the incredible opportunity to do this work full time, but we move at the direction of the community into their and into your point. So we really work with our community volunteers. I know that there's a few of you that I've communicated with about getting involved, and there's various ways of what that looks like, whether that is through events, whether that is through sector committees and really leaning into certain aspects of this work, and anything in between that will continue to come up throughout our project. We also have leadership teams and leadership committees, which are chairs of committees, people that want to take in an extra initiative in supporting some of the full-time work that we have on our plate. And then, of course, our local team, full-time staff that is dedicated to this work through and through, and our national team that supports and gives us some infrastructure and support to ensure our success. And then even beyond that, we have technical experts in some of the areas that we could use assistance with, whether that be through policy and built environment and food systems, or just bringing in technical assistance to help us understand worksite wellness or systems optimization. So we really ensure that this is at the direction of the trust and the speed of what the community is looking towards, and that we move in a way that is strategic and intentional to ensure that we are providing and giving support to what the community wants us to provide support with. So our citizens-led committees and our governing body system, we are a for-profit entity. So we do have a steering committee that is predominantly based off of our sponsoring organizations and their leadership team. We have incredible partners in this work, but even beyond that, we have identified community leaders from our zip codes that live in these neighborhoods to also be a part of that governing body to ensure that we are not just doing something to community, we are doing something with community from the way that we operate all the way to the boots on the ground. So that is our steering committee and the makeup of that team. And then we also have our leadership team that I've mentioned on the call of our full-time staff, as well as the community leaders that they would be working in their various areas of work. So that can look like the chair of the faith-based community, that can look like the chair of the schools committee, that can look like the chair of the restaurants committee, working hand in hand with our leaders and our coordinators to ensure success. And then beyond that, we have all of these committees and then some that you can get involved in, from policy to schoolwork, to work sites, to restaurants, to engagement and individual impact. There are so many ways that we are going to need this community to get involved and ensure that we are making the right directions and the right moves to make this project successful. So we're looking forward to having you a part of this and learning more about our work and seeing if this is something that you're interested in and being a part of as we move forward in this project. So our timeline, as you heard Yanira mention at the beginning, this is a 5-year project. And what we've been doing over the past 9 months is really taking the opportunity to lay the foundation. So we have built a website, we have hired incredible team members, we have an incredible steering committee. We have begun volunteer recruitment and training. We have held summits to help understand what our role and work looks like, and really have been taking a lot of time building our strategic plan, which we call our blueprint, and getting that drafted so that we can understand our opportunities to create impact, as well as really iron out our strategies of what we're going to be doing over the next 5 years. Now you might say, well, after 5 years, what happens next? What happens next is entirely dependent on the community. This can look like an extension of our project if there's more work that needs to be done. This could look like downsizing our team and it being absorbed into the mayor's office or another organization to ensure the work is carried out. But our goal more than anything is to create systems that are sustainable so that what we begin to create within our 5 years doesn't just go away. It stays with the people that have taken ownership of it, which is our community, in the work that they are doing, our incredible partners and participating organizations that have decided to be a part of this work, and we be that assistance to them. And so after our 5 years, it can look like anything, but it will look like success because there will be opportunities and systems already in place that will ensure the full carry out of the work that we have started. So we have a lot that goes into our strategic plan, which we aptly named the blueprint, which is identifying opportunities for overall well-being, evidence of change to pedestrian deaths, to childhood obesity, community-wide metrics that we are all looking forward to seeing in our community. And we are really strategic and do this from a data-driven approach. So we utilize Gallup polling to give us a baseline of where we are, where community is holistically, physically, financially, socially, and even in their career to really understand what those opportunities are. And we really wrap that up in a bow and create what we call a blueprint, which is our guiding light and document of what we are going to do over the next 5 years. Now that document is a living document, so it will change as things change and as our community changes and as our needs changes. And we also need to be sure that we are moving in the direction that is intentional for what the community has asked us for. So this will be a living document that will be unveiled to the community at large and live on our website. It will be unveiled at our kickoff, which is on June 3rd at the Jacksonville Fairgrounds from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. It is a free event that will encompass all things health and well-being at Blue Zones Project and what we're up to. And we really want to, at that moment, say, this is what we're up to for the next 5 years. We're looking for your support in getting involved. And how do you see yourself getting involved? So I thank you, Kristen, for dropping that in the chat. Please feel free to come out. Again, it's a free community well-being event. And we just really want to showcase what we've learned, what we've heard, what we've listened to, and what we're looking forward to doing over the next 5 years. We are incredibly excited about what the work that we get to do. We know that this well-being works because it has worked in many other communities over Blue Zones Project last decade, from small to large communities. Jackson will be the 76th Blue Zones community in the United States, and we would also be the largest Blue Zones community in the United States. So as you can see on the screen, there's been incredible statistics from 55% in childhood obesity drop rates to 31% decrease in smoking, to a 40% increase in tourism in various communities. So there's a lot of opportunity here to create our own statistics while improving the well-being and the health and the culture of Jacksonville. The resources that we bring are this team. We can look for grants. We have access to national experts. We have opportunities to technical assistance. But more importantly, we have an opportunity to bring for so long what people haven't been doing in our community, which is bring a lot of powerful people together for a really good cause and ensure that we are all on the same sheet of music going forward so that we can all be strategic in ensuring that health and well-being and quality of life are at the forefront of what we're doing in Jacksonville for the rest of our existence, and as we build our identity and as we build our community going forward. So we have incredible sponsors that we are proud to be supported by: Baptist Health, Brooks Rehabilitation, the City of Jacksonville, Community First Credit Union, Florida Blue, the Jacksonville Jaguars, Jesse Ball DuPont Fund, Mayo Clinic, UF Health, and United Way. And we're just really excited that this diverse and robust group of partners are all coming to the table to figure out the best solution going forward to ensure that our residents, our community in Jacksonville, have access, have options, and have the opportunity to live a healthy and well life. So from here, I will pass it over to our policy leader, Marlo Zarka, to talk a little bit about our public policy work.
Thank you, Nicole. I appreciate that. So you're getting a sort of a big picture, and we narrow it down as we go, which I think is exciting. And so what I really want to just spend a couple minutes on is having everybody get a sense of what it is that we do within our public policy work. We're really working with our community decision makers to make sure that the quality of life of our residents in Jacksonville, that's fine, you can keep that slide on, is at the forefront of all of those decisions. So when we talk about policy, we really talk about what is called big P and little p. So not everything can be resolved by passing a law or an ordinance or putting in some level of what we call either enforcement or compliance. And really, while we do a lot of that work and talking with our city council and the excitement that we have surrounding the new administration that's coming in, those are what we call big policies. So those are some really like rules of the road, literally and figuratively, of what we can do to build this environment around where we all call home. So I'd like to think for a minute, if you would, of just imagine yourself leaving wherever it is that you live. Is there a sidewalk that you have readily accessible to you? And where would that sidewalk take you? And could you get yourself to a restaurant, to a grocery store, even if it's a corner store? Could that get you to a park or to a place where there are social gatherings happening? So those are the kinds of concepts that I want you to think about when we think about the environment around you that can create the healthy choice being the easy choice, because it's the unavoidable choice. And then on the other side, when we talk about the little p, these are policies and practices that we want organizations that impact our lives to adopt to bring in. By that, I mean, when you go to your work every day, you want to have that be the healthiest environment possible. So wouldn't it be great if they could adopt a policy there where it was a smoke-free campus? So you did not have the opportunity to have to walk through what is now become a typical gathering point at a lot of public commercial entrances of the smoking section. We want to make these kinds of policies roll out, so to bring to the forefront of what it is that we work on. And I'll tell you, we have 4 sectors that we work in, and we can walk through in the next slide. So the policy areas that we really focus on are within the built environment. As I mentioned, that's considering when you go outside of your home, what is built around us that makes it our lives conducive to be as healthy as possible. Jacksonville is home to the largest urban park system in the country, and we should be very proud of that. Similar to the point that Nicole was making earlier about how we want to focus on our assets. We have so many here, between the acreage of public land that's designated for recreational use to our riverfront and accessing that, and every place along the way. We also focus on within food systems, and this is a very complex body of work that we have. We are in talks with everyone from urban gardeners to large scale growers who are at the beginning of what we call the food chain, the literal food chain, and then working towards finding out where those hubs can be of distribution and collaboration, and then also how we get it to the corner stores, to the market, and to other areas of distribution so that we can get the nutritional foods and needs. Sometimes it's working with large box retailers to ask them to dedicate a certain portion of their retail space to fresh produce locally grown. Sometimes it's talking within the realm of like, could we ask for more vendors to be able to accept SNAP or WIC dollars? And if they're bought, and if they're applied towards locally grown produce, could they be expanded? And then we work with our state partners at the tobacco and alcohol level, really not trying to make more rules around that, but really trying to create some best practices of awareness, working with the Florida Restaurant and Lodging Association on training for everyone that works in the alcohol industry, working with local sponsors who want to do responsible drive, call a ride. We see that on a lot of special occasions in Jacksonville. What if it was something that was always there? And then within tobacco, really minimize its access to youth. We know that there's a lot going on with the electronic cigarettes right now, and we just want to deter those that have not started away from it, and then offer resources to those that wish to stop. The next slide, please. So the important considerations about policy is it's one of our slowest moving parts. And by that, it takes a long time to make big changes, but we do it by small wins. So we're right now focusing on building huge partnerships with all of our stakeholders that are in this great work. And we're already excited because we've had some discussions with our city council that are not up for re-election, that are ready to jump in this fight with us and ready to make some phenomenal changes at our local level. But we also need you. So as Nicole mentioned, we have our sector work groups. We'd love to have you involved. We'd love to have your organization involved. So stay tuned at the end to learn more about how you can get involved. Thank you so much. And we'll pass it on now to talk about our places. Brittany.
Thank you, Marlo, so much for that introduction, and good afternoon, everyone. Nicole introduced me earlier as the organization and well-being lead. That's a fancy way of saying places. And when we think about places, we think about where we live, work, and play. So here in Jacksonville, places encompasses 3 areas: restaurants, grocery stores, and work sites. When we think about restaurants, for our certification goal, so at the end of 5 years, we have certification goals. We want to have approved 10% of the restaurants within our focus zip codes. So 06, 08, 9, 10, and 44. However, we realize that Jacksonville has amazing foods. And even if you are a resident in one of those zip codes or you work within one of those zip codes, you might be in the town center shopping, so you might want to grab food there, or you might be on Riverside or in Mandarin. So going back to the ideal of making a healthy choice, the easy choice, but unavoidable choice. So in addition to those restaurants within our zip codes, we also want to approve restaurants that are outside of our zip codes as well. Because if you're going shopping and you want to have a diet that is a plant-based entree, or not a diet, if you want to have a meal that's a plant-based entree, you should be able to find that in places that you go. We want to have healthier side dishes and portion sizes. I, for one, enjoy French fries. However, I also enjoy a good sauteed spinach. You should be able to have that option with your meals. Your children should be able to have those healthier options as well. Also, work sites. We realize that Jacksonville is big, and we realize that you might live in one area and you might work in another area. For our certification goal, again, at the end of 5 years, our goal is to approve work sites that encompasses 25% of the workforce within our focus zip codes. However, we're just not limited to those work sites within our zip codes. We will approve all work sites within Jacksonville who are willing to become Blue Zones approved. And in terms of our certification goal, to be mindful of the target focus zip codes, we will count those for our certification goal. 25% of the workforce within those zip codes roughly equates to about 24 to 25,000 people. And the great thing about being able to expand what work sites we work in, even if you're not a resident of those focus zip codes, you'll also be able to get some of those benefits of actually working for an approved work site. Think about being able to improve the physical environment of where you work at. Marlo mentioned earlier about going in certain places and not walking in the smoke zone. Or just think about actually working for an employer who's not only said, we care about your well-being, we cared about you, but they actually put things in place to actually make sure that your well-being was a priority. Grocery stores you can go back to the previous slide. Grocery stores in Jacksonville is a little different. Think about where you buy grocery. Think about the last time you purchased eggs, or you purchased collard greens, or you purchased ice. More than likely, it was within that life radius that Nicole spoke about earlier. So those 20 miles within your zip codes. Even if you're at the town center and you need to get some gelato, you're not necessarily going to buy it at the town center and drive all the way with it on West Side. So when it comes to grocery stores, we want to make sure that wherever you live within our focus zip codes, that you're able to access a grocery store or a convenience store that has healthy food options. We want to be able to work with the physical environment of the store. Maybe you have a convenience store or food mart or a grocery store within walking distance, but maybe you don't necessarily like the outside. Maybe you feel like it could be more appealing. There are also things that we want to work with. And we also want to work on educating staff as well as promotion for these stores for residents in these zip codes. So we want to approve 25% of the grocery stores or convenience stores within our focus zip codes. Next slide, please. So some of the value that we actually bring when it comes to places is we know from our global experts, as well as this being done in 75 other communities, that communities with higher well-being have lower healthcare costs, higher productivity, and are recognized among some of the best places to live, work, and play. And we know this results in greater economic and social vitality. So some of the benefits of a work site becoming approved is employees with higher level of well-being perform better and they cost less. We also know that increased employee engagement results in better productivity and reduced absenteeism, giving companies a real competitive edge. So what that also means for the employees, if you have vacation days, instead of you taking those vacation days because you're burnt out or you're sick, you're actually able to enjoy them, whether that means you're actually physically going on a vacation or you're just staying at home, binge watching Netflix or enjoying that time with your family. It would be really awesome to actually use your days for what you want to use them for versus what you have to use them for because your well-being was very low. We know that benefits for work sites also include reduced healthcare costs through health risk reduction. And there's also a reducing turnover along with an increased ability to attract top talent. Next slide, please. One of the benefits of restaurant, groceries, and convenience stores is Nicole mentioned earlier that this is a community-led well-being initiative. So one of the things that we want to also do is help promote your grocery store, help promote your restaurant. If someone is engaged or has taken a Blue Zones Project pledge and they're looking for a grocery store or a restaurant to go shopping or have a meal, we want to be able to say, hey, you can go to XYZ grocery store on this side of town, or are you visiting Jacksonville, or you're coming back home, or you're having a meal with your family, you should check out these stores or these grocery stores because you'll be able to have healthier choices. Ability to attract new diners by offering healthy options. For one, I consider myself a little foodie, but being able to try different restaurants or grocery stores is amazing. Gets you out of the house. It's a great opportunity to connect with friends and loved ones. Also access to Blue Zones Project resources, support, and marketing collateral. But also my favorite one is being recognized for being part of an important community-wide project to improve well-being. We've all heard the saying, put your money where your mouth is. We're not asking for money, but if someone says that they care about you, it's important that they show you. And some of the benefits of restaurants, grocery, and convenience stores is actually showing your customers, your consumers, that we do care about you. It's not just about us taking your money or you spending your money here. So I'm going to pass it along to our awesome school lead, Rashid, to go over schools in the Duval County, Jacksonville area. Thank you all.
Thank you, Brittany. As she said, my name is Rashid Williams. I'm the school lead for our Blue Zones Project here in Jacksonville. And so, of course, we didn't want to forget about our young people, right? We know that the fact that we have this opportunity to bring this project to Jacksonville, we realize that we have a longer span of impact with our young people versus us as adults. If you're like myself, 43 years old, I've been eating a certain way for a long time, did make some changes. As you get older, you got to shift, right? Well, we want to help our young people make that shift earlier than we did, right? So when we look at it, right, we believe Blue Zones believes that schools are a perfect place where we can literally deal with our students and help them begin to adopt those healthy habits that we know will help them to live a longer, fulfilled life, right? So as my team is saying, we want to make the healthy choice, the easy choice, and the unavoidable choice for them, right? And so as we've been doing this work, we've already had an opportunity through our assessment and discovery phase to talk with District Superintendent Dr. Diana Green and some other school professionals and say, what are you all already doing? What's already in place that's in for young people, for the whole school community, for the community outside of the walls, as well as for the staff, right? And they've said we have health and wellness policy that we've been implementing. We have health and school committees that have already been doing this work to help our students and our staff have healthy lives, right? So we say, well, how can we come alongside you all to collaborate and actually make that even better for them, right? So as we look at our schools, we want to partner with DCPS to help optimize the school environment. Our goal is to engage 50% of all schools within the community to take the schools pledge and become Blue Zones approved schools. As they become approved schools, we want them to implement some of the best practices that are a part of our school pledge. Healthy eating initiatives, more natural movement for our students, right? Unfortunately, national data shows that approximately 25 million students are obese or overweight at this time in their life, or at least close to being obese, right? That's a large number. That's 33% of our young people that are already exhibiting unhealthy habits, right, with their weight. So we want to literally infuse some more physical activity in our schools, like stretch breaks, standing up. You know, I remember when we would do testing, we would stand up, stretch in between sessions, right? Well, how about we do that every day? Why wait till we're in the testing phase? Let's start doing that every day with our young people, right? Taking brain breaks, taking meditation breaks in class, mindfulness meditation opportunities for them to actually reduce, increase their mental capacity, right? We also want to reduce screen time. If you're like me, I'm a parent, got a 16-year-old and a 10-year-old, they spend all day on their devices. And we want to have them put them down, have some screen time off time, right? Getting outside, being more active, walking through the community. So we also want to increase Healthy social interaction. As a educator for 13 years, I've seen what COVID has done to our students and their ability to socialize with each other, right? It's a lot more aggressive. It doesn't seem as more cordial as we remember when we were in school, where I went to school with the joy of being around my friends, knowing that I could have fun and we would, collaborate together and just have a good time. So we want to increase those social interactions, right? So one of the programs we want to implement within our schools to increase that movement is the walking school bus program. How many of us live in communities where we actually feel comfortable with our students walking to school? I know me personally, my daughters, we live on the west side. My daughters attend schools further in the city. So we have to drop them off because we obviously chose these schools. They're magnet schools. But how many of our residents are at their community school and they have to take their student to school or have them ride the bus because they just don't feel like their community is safe enough, right? And so by the walking school bus program is designed to implement literally what we used to do. I remember walking to elementary school and to middle school, right? Once I got to high school, obviously I wanted to be, the guy with a car, right? So, but again, elementary and middle school, I walked to school to and fro, and it was again an opportunity for me to hang out with my friends while also getting that physical activity in. Well, what we want to do is have at least 15% of our elementary schools be a part of our walking school bus program. And so that as they're walking, their activity in the morning is showing up to school, ready to learn, and they're already burning some of that energy that they need to get off so they can come and pay attention to that teacher. Next slide, please. Obviously, we're not stopping there. These are just 4 other initiatives that we want to put in place while we're working with DCPS, our school board. We want to have district-wide collaboration. We want to approve 28 schools in the zip codes that we've mentioned already that are part of this project, right? We want to engage with the district superintendent and other school officials to, again, increase that wellness policy and actually see it being executed and having healthy outcomes for our students and the staff. We also want to educate Duval school board members to actually think about blue zones and how we can implement it on a larger district-wide process. We also want to collaborate with school leaders directly, right? I've been a school leader before. The opportunity to meet with school leaders and actually say, hey, what programs are you already doing? What are some other ways we can help you all to make this a healthier environment for our students and staffs and family? Also, again, increasing student movement. We got to get our students moving more before, during, and after school, right? One of our goals is to increase that movement by at least 15 minutes per day by 2028, right? Think about that again. If we start in a week, that's 60 more minutes of movement they're going to be doing over the course of that time. We want to promote healthy living. And some of that is going to be partnering with cafeteria staff to figure out how we can promote healthier eating, right? With posters and food placement, having the healthy choices, again, right by the register. Instead of them having cookies or chips, let's have some fresh fruit, a banana, vegetables, nuts right there where they can actually add to that meal they're getting. And then holistic development. Again, we've seen our students with COVID, they're having a lot of struggles with mental health. Between that and social media and the different images they're having thrown at them all day constantly, we want to help them realize like it starts within you. If you have the right self-awareness and you understand your own identity, you're the only person that can be you. You don't have to be someone else. You can choose to be you and be healthy in that process. And so we want to have a health summit where our student is student-led, where they're actually telling us what topics do they want to discuss. What are the issues that are keeping them from being successful in school? And then we also want to connect them again to health resources within our community that the district is already partnering with to get this done. Move on to the next slide. And I want to welcome Kristen Murray, our marketing and engagement lead.
Good afternoon, everyone. So excited to be in the space with y'all. I love these questions. I am like watching this chat light up. And so we're going to talk about my favorite part of this work, which is people. So hi, people on this call. Welcome to the People Work. The way that we work with people is really around empowering and engaging individuals. So we do this a few different ways. The first is through our Blue Zones Project Pledge. We also host purpose workshops. We facilitate groups that are called MOIs, which are social groups, and we'll talk a little bit about those. And then we also do this through volunteerism. But the way that all of this comes together is working with faith-based organizations, civic and social organizations, our media partners to get that word out, right? And also with individuals within these communities, because one of the things that we know is Jacksonville is massive, right? And so one of the best ways that we found to get people out to events and to let people know what's happening is by talking to the media, but also going on knocking on doors. We knocked on doors in Harborview. We knocked on doors in 32209. We knocked on doors out on West Jacks. So we knock on people's doors and say, do you know about Blue Zones Project? Because that's a way for us to spread that message and to spread that word. So we have some more canvassing events coming up in May, and we'll be sure to let you all know about those. If you want to knock on doors with us, out east is our next area where we're going to do some door knocking. So yes, boots on the ground are absolutely necessary. So if I go ahead and go to the next slide, that would be great. So you heard me talk about MOIs. So MOIs are groups that meet for 10 weeks, and we're talking 5 to 10 people, 5 to 8, 5 to 10 people, where they come together around a common or shared goal. And this can look a lot of different ways. Sometimes people do this through movement and walking. Sometimes people do this through potlucks. Sometimes where there's like foods that you might not traditionally eat, but you're willing to try the plant slant, right? Everybody brings a plant slant dish and is excited about that. There's so many different ways that we can get together. But Moais actually originated in Okinawa, Japan, where the group of women who Nicole was talking about, they were born into a friendship group, right? And this group traveled with them and grew with them across their lives. Imagine what it could feel like to just be in community for 10 weeks straight with people who have shared interests that you have. And then maybe that grows into something more. Maybe you have more people you can call on a rough day. So it really is about that deep, deep connection. We also have purpose workshops. And so I just want to do a quick question, and you can like raise your hand or just identify on the screen. Has anyone ever asked you what your purpose is or what your why is? If they have, you can just raise your hand on your screen. I see a few. Okay, we have some coming up. All right, cool. So there have been times in my life where I'm able to articulate my why super easily. And then there are other times where it's more difficult. And so thank you all so much for tapping in and sharing. So purpose workshops are really about having people to better identify and be able to identify their why. When people have a sense of purpose and they know their why they get up in the morning, y'all, they live up to 7 years longer. And so when we talk about living better longer, that's the type of stuff we're talking about. So we facilitate purpose workshops with local faith-based organizations, as well as civic and social organizations across the community. So this will be coming from Blue Zones Project in the coming months. Next slide. Also, we recognize the importance of volunteering. Having these curated volunteer opportunities really does deepen connection across the First Coast. And it gives people a sense of belonging and a sense of place. So when we have volunteer events, which we have for kickoff, if you go to our kickoff website, you'll see an opportunity to volunteer. We would love that. Please come out and volunteer with us. We would love to have you there. This is going to be a really big event. And so one of the things that we know is that all of these different things impact our trajectory and well-being for our future. So if we go to the next slide, we can see what this looks like in practice. 64% drop in childhood obesity over the 9 years in elementary schools. We also saw 14% increase in people who report they're thriving in their life evaluation versus when they started. So when we talk about how living better longer impacts us, this is what the long-term trajectory looks like. And this is what it could look like for our city. So we're really excited to be a part of this work. We're excited to have you all involved in this work. And so what we want to do now is just spend a little bit of time hearing from you, answering any questions that you might have, and just kind of talking through what next could look like. We have a Q&A. If you go to the bottom of your screen, you'll see a Q&A where you can click that directly, and you can type questions to us. You also have the ability to type them in the chat if that works as well. But we really just want to hear your thoughts or questions. You can feel free to raise your hand, come off mute. We'll go ahead and acknowledge any questions that you have. And if you don't want to come off mute, you can always put them in the chat. So Julie asked, will a copy of the PowerPoint be provided? So what we will do is inside of Eventbrite, we have the ability to message all of our participants. What we'll do is we will send out our one pager that covers a lot of the information in a more consolidated way so that it's not like all the slides, but we will send all that information out to you. Yes, Chanel, great question. If you are interested in joining a committee, there are so many different ways that you can do that. The first way is you can reach out to any of us individually, and we'll go ahead and put our emails inside of the chat here. The other way that you can do that is on our website over the next few days. We're going to have a page where you can actually select that you're interested in joining a work committee. So we're working on that. That should be live by May 1st. But in the interim, please feel free to reach out to us. I'm going to go ahead and put mine in the chat. If you're interested in joining a committee in any of the areas. So whether that's people, places, or policy work. No problem, no problem. Any other questions?
Kristen, this is Seth here. There was a question in the Q&A about if my 16-year-old can join, and it's been answered yes, but I don't know if you want to talk about what kind of volunteers you're looking for and things like that.
Absolutely. So one of the really amazing things about Blue Zones Project Jacksonville is that we have a youth engagement component that is specifically geared toward young people. So your young person can be involved absolutely. For kickoff, we have a note on the website that asks for them to be within a specific age range, and the young person you're referencing does meet that age range requirement. So please feel free to have them sign up for kickoff on our website. Additionally, if they're interested in serving on the Youth Engagement Committee, Rashid Williams, who is our schools lead, also heads up our youth engagement arm of this work. So please, please, please reach out to him and let us know. We'd love to have your young person as a part of Blue Zones Project Jacksonville. Absolutely. Perfect. So Kim, I see your comment about collaborating with a project concerning food insecurity. Definitely reach out to Marlo Zarka because that falls under food systems. And so I think she typed her email in there, but I think she'll do it again, or she might reach out directly to you via chat. Perfect. And we have a survey that we would love for you to complete. Tiara Taggart, she went ahead and dropped that inside of our chat here. And one of the ways that we make these events better is to know what you need and what you thought. We take your feedback seriously. So if you could take some time and fill that out, we need at least 30 surveys in order for us to be able to see how this went and really measure that. So if you could take a few minutes and fill that out, we'd love that. Thanks, Kim. We love it too.
Hey, Kristen, just gonna jump in here really fast. Chanel asks, are there any ones that we'd like to share with the group? And I would just say, Chanel, that we have the opportunity to do events like this. It's a really big win when we can get community in the room and hear from them and share what we're up to and create more involvement and more momentum. We're really looking forward to our kickoff and sharing our blueprint and what we're going to be up to for the next 5 years. We will continue our community engagement. Kim, we're not sure how often that will occur just yet, but we are recording our webinars and we'll have them on our YouTube channel. But we are just really working to build that infrastructure of community engagement and ensuring that we are on the right track as we continue to move forward. So there will be much more to come. So we're just getting started.
So there's a question in the chat, Nicole, and I'll pass it to you. How is BZ Blue Zones Project Jackson involved with the city of Jacksonville resiliency efforts, particularly with policy, buildings, food systems related to climate impacts? Marlo and Nicole, I'll pass that over to you all.
Yeah, I'll let Marlo, because she's been talking to Ann Colanesi.
Sure. So yes, we're really excited to have been invited into the conversation that the Chief Resiliency Officer for the City of Jacksonville is hosting. Just this week, I was able to attend a great conversation that is being had around what does resiliency looks like and the city's master plan with regards to a flood activation plan. And it's not just focused on flood. It was great to learn that we are looking at sea level rises. We are looking at heat index. We are looking at access to areas where we can say that there's all different kinds of threats in all different parts of town. Once again, Jacksonville is phenomenally unique in all of its great assets that we have. So we are plugged into those conversations. I know that they are also doing some public workshops with regards to that, but they are looking to do some release on that. And I'm more than happy to share directly with whoever asked the question what their next steps are. But we are so grateful that our city is in a good position to begin a conversation that a lot of cities aren't ready to have, not only in what are we doing to sort of buffer some of the areas, but what are we doing for the future to develop so that we are ahead of the game to be able to be very responsive to our climate needs. So I don't know who asked that question, but I'm happy to send you some more information directly. Oh, I guess it was Gerard. Okay, great.
And so I see in the chat that there are a couple of challenges with the survey. So what we'll do is we'll send that out as well in that follow-up email with the one pager.
Brittany actually just updated the settings, so everybody should be able to get in there.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank
Thanks,
you.
Brittany.
So, hey y'all, sorry. So the survey, it's making us edit the form versus completing.
I dropped the link in there that allows you to just in the chat that allows you to actually fill it out, not complete it. So you guys would get the data without us editing it. It's the
Thank
little
you.
eye up in the corner, the right corner.
Thanks, Chanel. Thanks, team, for see, this is why we need everybody in the space, because everybody together, we work it out and it's great. So glad y'all are here. Any final thoughts before we head out, Nicole? I'll pass it back over to you for closing thoughts.
Just thank you for taking time out of your day to be with us and hear what we're up to. Like we said, this is a community driven and led project. So we need to share with you. We need you to share with us to create success. So we are excited that all of you have lent your ear into the conversation and looking forward to your support and finding whatever that space looks like. So we are well on our way and we're just getting started. Please mark your calendars for our kickoff on June 3rd. We would really love to have you and get really started on that transformational work. And just know any gift, time, talent that you are willing to lend to this project, it would be appreciated and supported. And there's always a space for you here. Thank you, team. Thank you to the national team, the local team for everything, getting this set up. And we are looking forward to doing more of this and doing it more with you. So just stay tuned. There is more to come and just really grateful for all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good afternoon.